Hello, I'm Moritz Löhner, and this is the story how I got from sim racing to real life racing.
Moritz Löhner, you can do it, he can! He knows that he is the DTM Esports 2020 champion.
For Moritz Löhner, the first 57 of the weekend.
The whole story began back in 2020 when DTM hosted their esports championship, where the prize was actually doing a racing license and getting a test drive in the Mercedes AMG. And at first I didn't really want to participate because I thought, okay, after this there won't be anything happening anyways. But I eventually did it because of the exposure that DTM can give you. And also it's a big championship with, I guess, a huge audience behind it. So in the end I did it. On the time trial leaderboard that I qualified for Team Sheldon van der Linde together with Tim Jarschel and Leonard Krippner. That was our team. The first race was held at the Nürburgring. I started front row, P2, behind my biggest rival Jack Heathley. But I missed the start due to not knowing that there is a launch control actually available. So I started with a lot of wheel spin and lost, I think, 3 or 4 positions and fell back quite at the start. I kept my head down though and tried to make up some positions that I lost at the start and actually finished third in the end. So a podium position at the first race of the season was alright. Race 2 at the Nürburgring was pretty much perfect, pole position and the race win, so start to flag win. At Zoll, I also qualified front row in the 2 races, so qualifying performance was really good. I got some points there, but the race pace wasn't the very best at Zoll. I lost some positions in the races and only finished 3rd and 4th. So I lost some points there, but it was still good results for the main championship. The third round at Spa was a lot of up and downs. I didn't do a good qualifying in the first race and only qualified 7th. And that really was difficult in the race because of all the draft and stuff. It was really hard to overtake there. Although you would think it's easy to overtake on Spa, but it was actually quite difficult with the DRS and the push to pass. So I only managed to finish 6th, which didn't give a lot of points in the championship. The second race, however, I qualified P2, so front row again, and it was all about coasting behind the leader, try and stay behind him, and then only attack in the very last lap, which I did. I was 3rd for the last lap, attacked Jajowski right at the beginning of the lap, and then I only had to overtake Nüninghoff in the end. And it was a really close battle, side to side into the last turn, and I came out on top in the end and won the race at Spa. After the round at Spa, it was pretty much clear that the championship rivalry of me and Jack will be the main rivalry of the season, and it's about who will come out on top between the two of us. So it was clear who I have to beat in the next few races. For the final, we drove on 3 different tracks that were Portimao, Red Bull Ring, and Hockenheim Ring, where Portimao only got announced like 1 hour before we actually drove the first practice session there. So it was a surprise track, no one knew what to expect and no one knew where we would drive. So in the end it came down to who can adjust the best, and Jack Heathley did the best job there, got the pole position and also the race win, while I struggled a little bit behind him and also got a slowdown in the very last lap, which threw me back from P3 to P6, and after Jack Heathley was P1 in the championship standings, even coming to Portimao, I thought it was already over because I thought Jack Heathley will win this. I don't have enough points anymore. For me it was all about never give up, so next race at the Red Bull Ring I got the pole position, which was very important, and then also the race win in the end with one of the best battles of the whole season. Florian Hasse and I battled it out for the victory in the end. It was a very nice fight. We were side by side for pretty much the whole lap, or the whole last lap. And for me personally, it was one of the most exciting last lap battles I've ever had. Coming to the last race in Hockenheim, it really came down to the wire between Jack and myself. We were almost identical in points, so it was about who finishes first or who finishes in front of each other. So it was really tense, it was really exciting, but I got pole position, which was very important again. Getting pole position is always important, and even the more so if it's the last race of the season. And I had a really good start. Jackie had also a really good start, but got turned around in turn 2, which for me was a big relief. Obviously you don't want to see your rival being taken out, but you just have to continue and do your own race, because you still have 20 or more minutes to go, and you also yourself, you have to bring it over the line first to actually win the championship. And that's what I did. I drove the race with I would say really good pace. Went over the line first place, but the feeling of doing or beginning your last lap was incredible. You still have to concentrate, of course, but you already know, okay, this might be it. This is your chance to win it. And then last few corners you start to smile, but you still start to not smile because you have to concentrate, but after you've done the last turn, you start to smile, you start to know, okay, this is it, I'll cross the line, first place, and I'll win the championship.
And you can see it there, the relief. He knows that he is the DTM Esports 2020 champion. And now all of a sudden the real realization hits, and there's the real emotion there. And I tell you what I'm really proud of is that he's got dark hair on top and his beard is ginger, and that's like me, so we must be real men.
And now it was actually time for me to go into the real car. I did first of all I had to do my D racing license at a small track in North Germany. It was also really short notice for me to go there and do my racing license, but it was a lot of fun. I already got to know the AMG GT4 by CV Performance. Did a few laps there and got my license, I would say, quite easily. And I think 1 or 2 weeks after that, I finally got to go to the official Dtm Test Days. And yeah, it was really the first time for me on a proper racing track, in a proper GT4 car. And I did actually a lot of laps. I did 70 laps, I think. In the first session I also got the second fastest time, which was really surprising to me. But it was a lot of fun, and I knew exactly what to do from the simulator. I knew exactly how to drive the car, how to drive the track. And it was a lot of fun in the end. We had mixed weather conditions. The first session was completely dry, so I was able to push a lot and drive the car on its limits. For the second session it started to rain. We had a very wet track at the start of the session, so out with rain tires, a lot of experience with the rain line, and it dried up throughout the session. So eventually we changed the tires to dry tires. It was still a bit damp on the track, so it was difficult at first, but it was a good experience to learn how you have to drive a car if it goes from dry to wet, or even from wet to dry. After the test day it got rather quiet again, and my fear of nothing happening afterwards was almost, I knew it was going to happen. But I actually got approached by some teams, but I couldn't really accept the offer since it was just too expensive in the end. But 3 days before the Monza weekend, so the season start of the DTM and DTM Trophy, I got a call by FK Performance if I want to drive the first race in Monza with them and for them in the BMW M4 GT4. And for me it was a really good offer, and I did it. I was really excited. I got all my racing equipment right at the same day, bought everything, got it delivered by express delivery, and it was all there at the very last second. And then I went to Monza with my brother. Didn't really know what to expect, but it turned out to be a really, really nice weekend. We had the best weather ever, like 32 degrees. It was a nice experience for me, doing lockdown, doing something else, going somewhere, going into a different country. And and then eventually also driving a race car.
Again, you may recognize him from when he used to represent Williams Esport, now a Esport driver. And across the line then for Löhner. Does he manage to improve on his time now? That's the question. 1.6 seconds off the pace. Oh, and he does. Oh, and he does. A 59.39. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. 7.5 tenths clear of Ben Green. Moritz Löhner is here to party, that's for sure.
The first practice session for me was getting used to the track, getting used to the car, because I never was in the car before, except of in the simulator. I did some simulator laps, but obviously haven't been able to do test drives and whatever like all the other people before. That was quite difficult at first, but it went quite well. In the first session I got the second fastest time, which was also surprising. I didn't think that that would happen in my very first session on a track I didn't drove before, on a car that I never drove before. So that was really good. And also in the second practice I got the fastest lap time, and everyone was really surprised at that point, and everyone was asking me how is that possible. Also some other teams wanted to have telemetry data and like onboard footage of my driving. So that was quite the achievement, I think. And yeah, then the next day we went into qualifying. So first time qualifying for me in real life, which was exciting, but I was a bit nervous, but not as much as in the sim racing world, because I don't know, qualifying is a lot more tense in the virtual world, I think. So also all the guys were asking me why I'm not nervous and such, and I was just saying it's way more difficult in the sim world. I did it for years, so this is almost like a walk in the park. And yeah, qualifying went really well. I got second place right behind my teammate Ben Green, and at that point I knew I would have really good chances to do a really good pace and a really good race. Yeah, in the race I started P2 front row, so perfect starting position, and I defended my P2 throughout the first few laps. But behind me I only had very experienced drivers who drove GT4 racing for years and even motorsports in general for a lot of years, so it was difficult because I had no experience, they had all the experience.
And we are green light racing here then in the DTM Trophy 2021, and it's a long run down in towards turn number 1, and I'll tell you what, Moritz Löhner's got the best of this. Tregurtha is starting to close in the two drivers at the front. Moritz Löhner, he's going for the lead here. From Löhner, he's going to give up the position, I think, to Tregurtha once again. On his debut, Moritz Löhner will get P3.
In the end, I brought it home over the line. I finished third in my first race ever, podium finishing position. It was just an incredible feeling for me. But then again, same feeling like after the test days. After Monza it was quiet for a while. I didn't know what to do, or I didn't know if I would race another race this year, and just had to wait for a phone call in the end again. And also for Lausitzring, let's say 3 days before I got the call, yes, you will race at Lausitzring, you'll have a main sponsor for your car, and you will drive the entire season. And that was crazy, that was absolutely crazy, because at that point I knew, okay, I will drive the full season, my first full season in the DTM Trophy, which I always wanted. I always wanted this. As a little kid I watched TV, I always watched DTM, and my dream was to become a racing driver in real life and drive in a DTM one day, and that's what I'm doing right now, or what I did last year.
Yeah, Moritz Löhner's the one to watch out for then up towards that final chicane. Theo Uberhaus, he'll be looking to get up to that podium as well. Follow him through as well. Tregurtha, of course, now has 2 cars between him and the championship leader, Green. Moritz Löhner is, of course, going to keep that car in there for sure, and he's forced Jan Zimmer to be on the brakes very, very late there. Opens up then the next part of this circuit.
I drive the Support Series DTM Trophy for an entire year together with MediaMarkt and Xiaomi. It was just incredible. I was absolutely speechless. I didn't know what to do. So yeah, I just was incredibly happy.